What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. You ever been in a draft where a player has been trending up in recent weeks? You know the people you're drafting with are going to really want them, but you're not really sure if you should be the one reaching or not. Well, today we're going over 6 players that have risen a decent amount over the last couple weeks to a month, who for sure will be players that your league mates are targeting, but who I am comfortable reaching ahead of ADP for because I think they are great picks. So sit back, hit the like button. Let's start things off with Josh Jacobs. He's up to pick 35 in redraft leagues. I'm just using average redraft leagues. We're looking at like ESPN, Sleeper, Yahoo, NFL, just averaging them all together. Pick 35 on average. That's around 3-4 turn in a regular 12-team league. I haven't picked 23. I'm all in on this Packers offense this season. A big thing people point to, I guess there's like 2 big things people point to with Jacobs. One, that he was terrible last season, and I'm not going to overstate that, or I guess understate that. I'm not going to gloss over the fact that he was terrible, right? He was horrific on a per-play basis last season. He kind of got there based off volume, but I mean, heck, it wasn't even all the team. Like when they went to Zamir White was playing better than him down the stretch when they kind of like shut Jacobs down. I just don't think he's dust. He's still relatively young. He didn't have a ton of touches in college. So some running backs that, you know, had a ton of workload in college, then a ton of workload in the NFL. And it's like they're starting to break down a little bit earlier. He's not even at the age where he'd break down. He was barely used in college. Like he actually, if you look at his like total career touches, it's not that high. There's no way he's breaking down. He's still a great player. I really just think it was like just so many things going on for the Raiders last season with, you know, the coaching change, GM change, like everything was kind of changing there. The contract situation, like so much stuff happening. Missed all of that offseason, or like most of that offseason because of the contract dispute. Like just a lot of things were going on to where there was kind of a reason why he wasn't amazing. But we know he's a great running back, right? Then people couple that and they say, well, okay, running backs for the Packers didn't do well last season, like points per game basis. And that's true, but like Aaron Jones was hurt for most of the season. And when Aaron Jones did come back, he was awesome. In fantasy, it's just he was hurt. They were going with like, you know, AJ Dillon. We know who AJ Dillon is. It's not a very good running back, and definitely not one that's going to score a high amount of fantasy points on a per touch basis. So it makes sense that that occurred. Plus, they were a little bit lucky in terms of like passing touchdowns when they got close. It's going to shift a little bit more to the running backs this season. So I think he'd be a top 5 running back. If you came to me at the end of the season, you're like, oh my goodness, he finished 3rd. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. To me, great offense, ton of scoring, ton of games where they're ahead and they can lean on him. Getting him near the 4th round in a redraft league, that's great value. I would take him anywhere in round 3. Ken Walker up to pick 48 in redraft leagues. That's the 4-5 turn in a 12-team league. I have him at 37. So Charbonnet been dealing with this injury. I don't think it's like any sort of long-term concern for Charbonnet. I think the biggest thing is, number one, Charbonnet's missed time. And when you miss time in camp, especially with a new offensive coordinator, that's potentially a problem, right? But the biggest thing is, when we entered the offseason, I'm like, okay, they were kind of drafted at similar spots. And some people thought they were similar-ish values. I think everyone kind of knows that like Ken Walker's a better running back and he's much more explosive. Like he's a player you would want to get more touches over the course of a season. Charbonnet is I don't want to say a backup, but more of that like 1C, we'll call it, right? He is like a number 2 that you want to give more work than a backup, but not one that's competing for touches, right? We thought maybe a new staff comes in and say, okay, but what if they think differently? Like what if this new staff kind of views it maybe even more towards Charbonnet than the old staff did, and we get to more of a 50-50 split? It went in the other direction. This new staff is in love with Ken Walker. They really want to feature him. They want to use him in the receiving game. We might have a season where Ken Walker has the most receptions of his career. Like I said, explosive player. That's really important fantasy because it kind of de-risks situations, right? Someone has no explosiveness and they're just a volume-based play. The volume better be there, because if you're a volume-based play and you have games with low volume, or maybe your role isn't as strong as we think, your floor is much, much lower. But as an explosive player, you know what? If it happens that it comes out and maybe the role isn't quite as strong as we thought, he still has the upside to score every single time he touches the ball, so he can have high-end efficiency. When you add that to a vastly improved offense, they're going to be much more aggressive this season. It's going to be, I think they're going to score more fantasy points, which is just good for running backs. That's going to, or score more points overall, which will lead to more fantasy points in general. I just think that like when you think about his touch floor, how locked in that is, add the explosiveness, add the better offense, better play calling, add likely more targets to the running back position. That's something they've talked about as well this offseason. I'm good taking him anywhere in round 4. As soon as you get into the 4th round redraft league, if you want a running back, Ken Walker, absolutely someone you should take. James Conner, the next round, right? He's up to 61 in redraft leagues. That's like the 5-6 turn in a 12-team league. I have him 55th overall. I'm good taking him anywhere in round 5. So we're good with Jacobs anywhere in 3, Ken Walker anywhere in 4, James Conner anywhere in round 5. I thought I was off him to start the offseason. And honestly, he's a player I'm historically a little bit lower on than normal. To start the offseason, I was like, okay, Trey Benson's good. Like, I do think Trey Benson's a good running back. I thought they drafted him to kind of be like a 1A, 1B situation. And, maybe towards the end of the season, we get a split. Maybe if Jacobs misses time, which he always does miss about a month of the season, maybe Trey Benson balls out in that month, and then Conner never really gets the rollback. That has not been how the offseason has gone. I mean, the offseason has gone where Trey Benson's like the backup. He is, if James Conner gets hurt, he will take over the early down role. But you've got DeMercado, you've got Michael Carter kind of fighting for those third down snaps. That is not Benson. And that's great news for James Conner because Amari DeMercado and Michael Carter, they're not pushing James Conner for his role. So when they come onto the field during games, when they play in 2-minute drill, they play in third downs, they're coming off the field after that. They're coming off the field when they get in the red zone, and they're not pushing him for his normal touches. If Trey Benson had won that role, you'd be a little bit concerned. You'd be like, okay, are they going to leave him in on the field? Leave him in when they get in the red zone? Leave him in for another drive? Is he going to push for more touches? If he's not going to be given those extra touches, especially early in the season, and he's pushed more into a purely handcuff role, there's way less risk with James Conner on a team that they're going to score a lot more points this season. Teams won't be able to stack the box as much because you've got now, Marvin Harrison Jr. on the outside. You've got McBride, a great tight end in year 2. Kyler back. Like, I know he came back, kind of second half of last season, but he wasn't back, he wasn't as mobile as he normally is. He just wasn't 100%, of course, because he was just coming off the injury, torn ACL. Good to go this season. So you've got him to worry about scrambling. You've got these great weapons on the outside. They're finally going to play Greg Dortch more. It looks like Michael Wilson is taking a step forward in his second season, or is going to take a step forward in the second season. Everything is just pointing to this offense is going to be better. Are they going to be elite? No. But this is round 5 for running back. We're definitely starting to get into the range where there's a lot more uncertainty. We can actually be pretty certain this season that James Conner is going to get a significant amount of touches. He's going to get receptions. He's had 27 plus receptions in each of the last 6 years. He's had 83 yards per game the last 3 seasons. He's 29, so the age cliff isn't there. We kind of just know he's going to get a decent amount of touches on a better offense, and he's going to get goal line work. That's valuable in fantasy. So anywhere in round 5, good taking him. Wide receiver, Terry McLaurin. Everyone's going to be all over Terry McLaurin right now. He's 67th overall on average. I think people are going to start reaching beyond that. That's the 607, and I have him at 61. I'm good. If you wanted to take him somewhere in round 5, I'm good with that as well. I'm good reaching a little bit ahead of where I have him. Honestly, it probably comes down to what you think about Dotson. So my take on the situation is that I actually don't think Dotson leaving has a massive impact. I just think that he was such a good pick before it happened. This basically just locks everything in. Now, it's void if Ayuk gets traded. If you're watching this oh no, Nick, on Tuesday they traded for Brandon Ayuk. Or you watch this and the next day it happens. Of course, McLaurin's not going to be as good of a pick. I wouldn't take him in round 5. He's going to have to be further back if that happened. My gut right now says that Ayuk is going to be a 49er this season, and that's how I'm drafting. I just think, Dotson already was kind of competing with Dami Brown. It seemed like he was losing that role, and it seemed like they didn't like him at all. They were really trying to trade him away. So there really was never a circumstance where Dotson was actually overtaking McLaurin. What it really does is you start looking around the room, and you're like, okay, Dami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, Luke McCaffrey, who some people are excited about, maybe getting some slot looks, but realistically, it's Luke McCaffrey. He's not a high ceiling player. He's someone that can have a minor role, have a few okay games, but not be some amazing player that's commanding, a 17% target share. So you look around, you're like, okay, Ben Sinnott, I don't know how you say it, but they're tight end, rookie tight end, looks athletic, looks like he'll contribute, but also not going to have, a 14, 15% target share. And you're like, is this the year? Is this the year that, because McLaurin's been good every year of his career. I think it was 919 receiving yards in his first year, Since then, he's had over 1,000 every single season, 77 plus receptions every year. Like, he's been awesome with trash quarterback play. And I'm not saying the quarterback play is going to be elite this season because we don't know, but there's a chance that this is the best quarterback play he's had on the least competition offense as well. And it's like, is it going to be the perfect storm? Cliff Kingsbury comes in. We know Cliff Kingsbury offenses love to play fast, have no huddle. We know their defense isn't that great. We know their offense will be good, but not good enough to keep up with the defense being so bad that they're going to be trailing a lot. So if you got a ton of plays, and even if the offense wants to be more run heavy, they're going to be losing a lot, so they'll have to throw it. A lot of games with high ceiling here. Like McLaurin's going to have weeks where he's already at 5 for 80. We enter the fourth quarter, they're down 2 touchdowns, and we're like, all right, it's time to play super fast and throw it a ton. And we're like, let's go. Like, let's start racking up the receptions for McLaurin, who's very clearly the best player on this offense. So a lot of upside for him. Again, I'd be willing to reach probably a round ahead of ADP to get him. Because I feel like a round is like a good spot, right? Like, if you start reaching 2 rounds ahead of ADP on some of these guys, it's like pump the brakes a little bit. Maybe we can do with our next player because he goes a little bit later. A round and a half. That's like a very common reach that I'm totally fine with these guys. Again, I've been kind of saying about a round ahead. Odunze. He's 88th overall. That's the 804. I'm good reaching closer to 2 rounds. I have him at pick 70. That's 18 picks. Kind of depends if that's 2 rounds or close to 2 rounds, depending on your league size. I think people are starting to wake up to this. They're like, oh, wait, Caleb's good. Like, we're not used to the Bears having a good quarterback. Caleb Williams is clearly good. And oh, wait, he really likes Odunze. And Odunze gets the ball downfield and in the red zone. And actually, he's already playing 2 wide receiver sets over Keenan Allen. And that's obviously going to, even be more of an effect later in the season. It's like, oh, wait, could he push DJ Moore, who we're taking in round 3, and we get him in round 8? Like, it's like people are starting to wake up to this fact that it's like so obvious that he's an amazing pick where he's going. I just think it's happening a little bit too late. I wish he hadn't had that big play in the preseason game. Kind of glad he stepped out of bounds for that touchdown because maybe that would have added on even more hype. But like everything we've been saying in this offseason, like he's obviously good. My model had him at like a 3 or 4% worse prospect than Malik Neighbors. Everyone wants to take Malik Neighbors. On Underdog, they're taking him like pick 22 right now. Redraft leagues, people are taking him in round like 4, round 3 I've seen, but round 3, round 4. Odunze is going in the 8th round, and his quarterback is Caleb Williams, not Daniel Jones. Like, Caleb is going to make mistakes. He's going to have games where he completely falls apart, and we're like, oof, like he is still a rookie, right? That's going to happen. But he's also going to have games where he makes these throws where we're like, what? Like, where did that come from rookie? Again, we saw it, that deep shot to Odunze in the preseason game. We're going to see plays like that happen a lot more where you got to kind of throw out this old Bears offense. The Bears offense with, it was like Bajent or whatever, like with Justin Fields. Like, you got to throw that offense away. That's not the offense we're going to see this season. It's going to be pass heavy. It's going to be way more explosive. They're going to score more fantasy points. And Odunze is the one you want to be targeting fantasy. I'm good reaching. I think he'll be a round 3 pick next season. Jordan Love. Last play we'll go over today. If you're reaching on a quarterback, it's honestly a good spot to reach on him because, again, we have that kind of like, I don't want to say rule, but quote-unquote rule if we want a top 11. He's the 10th, right? 9th or 10th. It kind of depends here. But he's at the end of that top 11. Now, when we get to that spot, we, of course, have not taken a quarterback yet. Again, I'm good with this in Superflex. I'm kind of talking about redraft here for like 1 quarterback leagues, but Superflex as well. I obviously love them. But in a 1 quarterback redraft league, you kind of start getting to his range and you're like, maybe you panic a little bit because you're like, okay, Nick said I want a top 11 quarterback. I don't have one yet. We're at the quarterback like 9-10 range. If I don't take one now, maybe I don't get one. So that's one thing where it's like, yeah, lock in that top 11 quarterback with Jordan Love. But it's also like, even if you reach on him, like I don't see a bad outcome. He was the quarterback 5 last season, right? Watson was hurt. Dobbs was in year 2. He has reportedly made huge progress. He's going to be really, really good this season. Wicks, Reed, Musgrave, Kraft, all rookies last season. And again, he was still the quarterback 5. Like, that's absolutely insane. Watson is healthy now. Again, Dobbs has had an amazing offseason. He's going to be a lot better than people are expecting this season. We are expecting year 2 bumps for Reed, Wicks, Musgrave, Kraft. Again, all from a player who was already 5th in both overall and points per game last season. It's just so safe. Like, is there really a world where he doesn't do good? Because he wasn't getting lucky. It's great coaching. It's great explosive players. Like, the play calling is good. The players, like, everything is good. I think Jordan Love as a quarterback is way better than people think. And the play calling is awesome on that team. There's also no risk with the receivers because you've got 4 strong ones. So if you're like, oh, but Nick, Christian Watson can never stay healthy, that's fine. Just replace him with Wicks, who some people think is better than Christian Watson. Like, they have 4 really strong wide receivers. So if any one of them goes down, they can just throw the other end. And it's more likely they stay healthy because they have 4. They can rotate them in and out. They don't need anyone to play 99% of snaps. They can have everyone at like 70 to 80%, keep them a little bit more fresh, more explosive in game, but also more healthy. And you add on Jacobs. Again, I love the Packers this season. You add on Jacobs as a pass-catching running back. The upside of Marshawn Lloyd is an explosive player catching screen passes out of the backfield. Musgrave, Kraft, I think, are both really strong young tight ends that are very explosive. I love taking Tucker Kraft as like an underdog. You can get him in like the pick 200 and redraft. If you want to take him as your second tight end, go for it. Like, I just think everyone is explosive. Everyone is good and young and developing. It's going to be such a good offense, such a safe pick. I'm good reaching for Jordan Love. So those are 6 players that I feel great reaching on this season. If you want to see my exact rankings on every player for every scoring format as well, see them on my website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. And if you want to get them for free, all you got to do is sign up for your first Underdog account today using promo code FFA. Do that, make a minimum $10 deposit. They'll give you a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Then the following morning, can't do this if you're doing your draft in an hour. The following morning, I'll email you the rankings. You'll have access to the site for free. If you need the rankings that day, please sign up to the website. You'll get that instantly. But yeah, you use the $10 deposit minimum you have there, plus the bonus, enter a few drafts before the season starts, or hold off. We're going to do pick-em entries in season as well. So if you watched this far, be sure to leave a like. Really helps me out. And if you're new here, why not subscribe? We're going to have in-season videos all completely free. That, my friends, is the end of this one. And thanks for watching.